Happy monstering, everybody! Welcome to another episode of My Singing Monsters Live. I'm one of your hosts, Monster Handler Matt. Joined with me today is...
the other host. I'm Monster Handler Eric. Welcome so much to the show, guys. You might notice that opposed to last week, we are now on at 5 p.m. My Singing Monsters Live, every Friday, will be on at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The reason we moved a little bit later is because we got so much good feedback from the surveys after the first show, and thank you guys so much for giving that feedback. We loved it. We loved seeing, which part you guys enjoyed, some suggestions for the future, and one of the main pieces of feedback was, could you move the show back just a little bit later? So we did.
And here we are.
And we know that you guys must be enjoying the show at least a little bit, because we just hit a milestone in terms of viewers.
Yes, we, last night, we reached the milestone of 500 followers for the Big Blue Bubble TV stream. So
round of applause
I think that warrants some celebration. So
of course. Now, do you know how to celebrate a milestone properly?
Oh, wow. You don't need to tell me. I believe that the best way to celebrate a milestone such as this one is by doing a giveaway right off the hop.
All right. So today we are giving away a rare monster. Well, that was the planned giveaway, and now we'll have an extra giveaway as well.
That's right.
So this is not the planned giveaway, but it will be a bonus giveaway. It'll be a rare of your choice. Monster Handler Matt, if I get a drum roll, I will see. And the winner is Will123110. Congratulations. You'll just have to send a whisper to our stream chat, Twitch chat. I'm not sure the exact name for that. Well, but it'll be Monster Handler Sydney on the other end. So everyone can say, "Hi, Sydney." Use a whisper her, and we will get sorted out whichever rare you want. And for anyone who's just tuning in, we did just do a giveaway because we have 500 followers on stream. We just broke that milestone. But there is still another giveaway to come in the show, as every single stream we do here on the Big Blue Bubble Twitch will include a giveaway. But as we just saw with one popping up kind of out of nowhere, you want to tune as much as you can, because you never know when one's going to pop
And anything can happen. As we always say in the monster world, you have to stay on your toes if you have toes. And just be ready for anything, because there's all sorts of developments happening at any given time.
Oh my goodness, the developments that are happening!
I know they're quite exciting. They're quite exhilarating for me as a monster handler, may I say.
So we have a lot to talk about coming up.
We do,
but not just discussion. Also coming up, we will have some Q&A with Monster Handler Matt, everyone's favorite human encyclopedia. We are also going to have a fan spotlight, a Monsterpiece Spotlight, if you will, where we look at your art. We actually asked last week for some contributions approximating the appearance of Dr. Warden E. Spurt, and I believe we got some portraits.
We got a few that we'd be interested in sharing with you guys and sort of discussing what similarities there might have to the actual figure. Although, of course, as we know, this is a figure shrouded in mystery, and his actual appearance remains unknown to all of science.
A shy man, but I'm very excited to see the art that you guys contributed and see what you guys think he might have looked like. Speaking of art, the cave paintings coming up in these social posts.
Right.
Big news. My question, right off the hop, do you think that the cave where these are being discovered might have like rock formations forming from the ground?
From the ground? Well, if it is a true cave, then I can certainly imagine that that's a reasonable thing for you to guess at. Yes, I'd say yes.
Yeah, I think their stalagmite be.
Did everybody catch that on the stream? What Monster Handler Eric just said, that their stalagmite be? Well, I mean, that's a pretty solid joke of yours. I mean, you did get it correct, which is nice. Not everybody remembers that stalagmites are the ones that appear on the ground floor of a cave.
Yes, the scientific accuracy is what makes that joke so stalactite.
Another one. You did another one.
2 for 2.
Oh, man. The puns are flying fast and furious over here. A quick reminder for all of those people who like to keep their stalactites and stalagmites separate. Stalactite with the C belongs on the ceiling. Stalagmite with the G on the ground.
That was a very helpful tip you gave me when we were rehearsing this bit
That's
for
right.
3 solid months.
Yes, oh, well, you had to have the execution absolutely flawless.
Of course.
Our community expects the best, and we hope to deliver every single time.
The best of the worst when it comes to puns.
That's right. Is there such a thing as a good pun, or are they all bad?
They're all bad in a good way.
We can discuss that at a different time.
That's a whole other discussion.
Let's launch into this this discussion of the cave paintings.
I'd love to hear sort of your interpretation, what you're seeing in these drawings, because there's a lot going on, and it's a cave painting. They're open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm. As we mentioned on our Q&A special stream that occurred earlier this week on Tuesday, during which after which we discussed the first of these cave paintings that had been released on our social media.
That's right. Only one had been released.
Only one had been released. Now, yesterday, the second of these appeared, and so now it's my understanding, and perhaps the community feels the same way, that this is sort of an ongoing saga that's being depicted here in the cave paintings. But of course, the most shocking revelation of all, if we are to read into these cave paintings correctly, is that the continent, during the era of Dawn of Fire, at one point suffered a great cataclysm, a huge schism of the various elemental lands, and broke off into separate pieces. Now, we can only deduce from this pictographical representation that these one day became the natural islands that are known to us today.
Now, I feel like that was a fairly popular theory amongst the community, but this could be like the confirmation of that theory.
I think this is probably the biggest thing that has happened in the history of my time studying the monster world, because it definitively connects these two eras of the monster timeline in such a distinct and concrete way, whereas before, obviously, the populations of monsters were similar one to another. There were some that have been lost to time, like we discussed. The element of fire,
of course,
suffers greatly during this quake. We're still not exactly sure what's going on, because the continent, of course, being composed of the various elemental lands, also has perched off to the side the volcano.
That's right.
The dormant volcano. And so that one is sort of conspicuously absent from any further teachings, any further documentation that we have. So it's a notable thing. I'm not exactly sure what to make of that at this point. It's important that we continue to sort of guess at and make hypotheses about what might come next. And so, as related to that idea, and as I mentioned earlier, it's our understanding as monster handlers that these two cave paintings represent the first of an ongoing saga that is depicted on the cave wall. So, what we'd like for you to do, the community, is if you have any ideas, any guesses as to what might happen next during this storyline, this event that's being depicted, we'd love for you to send us your ideas either through text. You can describe them to us, or better yet, you could even pictographically create them yourselves and create your own cave painting and then send it to us using hashtag MyStreamingMonsters, and we'll be able to review it and take a look at it for next week's episode.
Yeah, we can show them off.
And take a look and see, what sort of things that the community think is going to happen next, because anything could have happened at this point. There's a huge stretch of the monster timeline that is unaccounted for, that we have next to no details on. And of course, the monsters that currently exist today aren't of much help, because many of them just don't have any memories of that time.
Now, on that note, what about Cana?
So Cana is an interesting specimen, because the one that was trapped in amber on Tribal Island, it's possible for us to deduce that it first became trapped in amber during this great quake, during this cataclysmic event. And so it might be in a unique position to provide the most amount of details possible to us, maybe might jog the memories of some of the other monsters. And so we should keep a close eye on what that particular Cana has to say about this development. And I guess we'll bring you that information as it comes to us. But there's still a lot of mystery shrouded around all of this, so we're still figuring out the details. And if you have any guesses, let us know.
We'd love to hear.
In the past, the community has been really helpful in helping us to get to the bottom of several of these mysteries.
A couple, and more than a couple, real intense sleuths in this group.
Oh, for sure. Who scrutinize every single detail of a given post and really drill down to the core of the solving of these mysteries.
Now, these obviously remain very large mysteries, but not the first we've seen of cave paintings sort of throughout our history exploring the monster world.
That's right. Cave paintings has long been an art form that monsters have used to express themselves. You may remember back in 2015 when Tribal Island was first released and Cana premiered on the scene for the very first time, that once it had been rescued from its amber prison, that it distributed pieces of a map to the various monsters on Tribal Island. Now, we had a version of this that served as a community contest in My Singing Monsters, where different populations around the world received different pieces of this map and then had to cooperate and work together in order to piece the map together to create what we now know to be a top-down view of the continent, or at the very least 3 of the elemental lands that compose the continent: the plant lands, the cold lands, and the air lands. It would appear that at the time of the creation of this map, the water lands and the earth lands had not yet come into being, but the surface, the mouth, if you will, of the volcano was also present on this map. And once the pieces of the map had been collected and the monsters had given them back to Cana and said, "What's going on here, Cana? What's the story? You gotta say." Cana moved aside one of the massive mushrooms that was indigenous to Tribal Island and moved down into the cave networks that existed beneath Tribal Island and showed off several of the cave paintings that existed down there.
That's right.
And through that understanding of Cana's journey into the caves, we were able to get our first glimpse at some of the old prehistoric fire hybrids such as Stog and Flower and Glowl. And so that was our first look at some of these monsters that had never been seen before. This predates our knowledge of Dawn of Fire as a chapter in the My Singing Monsters saga.
Incredible.
So this is a very exciting time. So we do know for a fact that there are cave paintings underneath Tribal Island, and that Tribal Island itself has some relationship with the element of fire. We think it has the Colossal of Tribal Island has those studs in its ears that have the sigil for the element of fire upon them. And of course, we have a promotion this weekend in My Sing Monsters that sort of chronicles an expedition of common monsters that are moving off into the Tribal Island Cave Network to take a closer look to see if there's anything more that they can figure out. And that rare monsters have sort of stepped up to the plate to cover them while they're away. That's right. Our rare when you need them promotion, and that is why we are giving away rares as part of today's episode of My Sing Monsters Live. There's a thematic tie-in there. See what we did there?
That's right, and we already gave a bonus giveaway because the 500 follower milestone for people who are just tuning in. There's also going to be another giveaway a little bit later on.
Oh, wait a minute.
I think I'm getting something.
Sorry.
I think I'm hearing that. I think I'm hearing that we're gonna have one extra fricassee.
Fricassee? Sure you don't mean? Could it be that what you heard was giveaway?
It could be another giveaway.
A bonus giveaway.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we're just giving them away.
Okay, well maybe we'll give away one more rare. And a reminder, this is not the planned giveaway. This will in fact be our second bonus giveaway of the episode, with one still coming. Monster Hander, Matt, would you like to announce who won the second bonus giveaway?
So our surprise pop-up giveaway that occurred right in the middle of this episode is, drumroll please, Blaine Michael. Congratulations to Blaine Michael. You are our second recipient of a giveaway during this episode of My Sing Monsters Live, and it's a rare monster of your choosing, so just send a whisper message to Monster Handler Sydney there in the chat, and she'll be able to hook you up with that rare monster of your choice.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, with that in mind, why don't we jump to some Q&A, since I know how much you love that.
I'm ready.
Okay. The very first question comes in from Iggy Rosado.
Okay.
And again, as we normally do, I will apologize for any names that I butcher. We will do our best to pronounce, but as you know, handles can be tricky.
Yes.
Iggy Rosado asks, will Cana ever be on an island in My Singing Monsters besides Tribal?
Oh, how relevant. We were just talking about the importance and the significance of Cana on Tribal Island. So, fire, as an element that is mostly extinct in the current era of My Singing Monsters, Cana, that sole specimen of Cana seems to be the only exemplar of that element that exists during the Common Era,
right.
During current day, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So, if Cana were to ever move to another island, I think it would be quite an undertaking to try and impart that fire element. It's a lot for one monster to shoulder.
Sure.
Basically, the burden of the continued legacy of the fire element. So, if Cana were to go to another island, I'm not exactly sure how that would work. It certainly seems for now that Cana is unique to Tribal Island in the monster world.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Very unique.
That's certainly the way it is as of the time of this episode.
It'd be a lot of pressure to be the only fire monster around, and you wouldn't want Cana to get burnt out.
Oh, very good. Burnt out. Oh, the puns are flying.
Okay. Manin55 wants to know, why can't Cana climb down from its tree on Tribal Island to breed with other monsters?
Oh, well, first of all, the stump that it appears on...
Stumped.
Stumped. Ah, how thematically relevant. I'm happy to say that I'm not stumped as far as this question is concerned. So, as we've previously depicted, the Cana can climb down from the stump that it appears on Tribal Island. It has been known to navigate around the island, go and cavort and hang out with the other monsters.
As we mentioned earlier, around the dawn of Tribal Island, I believe, it moved the mushroom out of the way to let the monsters in.
Exactly. So it was at that time able to sort of lead an expedition down to the cave network beneath Tribal Island. As far as the game is concerned, notably the absence of a breeding structure on Tribal Island means that there's no breeding to be done on Tribal Island in the first place.
That's a good point.
So, it's that simple.
Okay. Ninjuri25 wants to know, is that skull Voodoo's face or a mask?
Oh, very interesting. So, Voodoo, ethereal.
Yep.
The ethereals tend to be a little bit more spooky.
Of course.
They tend to be a little bit more macabre.
Yep.
And Voodoo, as sort of a shamanic figure, has this, what looks like a skull mask, but it's our interpretation of the anatomy of this monster that it is actually the monster's face, which is distinct from the Wublin poke, which we still don't know what's going on there.
So there are some monsters definitively have a mask.
That's right.
Some, like Voodoo, do not.
That's right. And recall
Who don't?
A specimen like Yelmet with its decorative headgear. Don't call it a hat. With its decorative headgear, various monsters have certain props, accoutrements, accessories that they use to spruce up their look. But apparently that's not the case with Voodoo. That is, in fact, the monster's face.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your decorative headgear. Do you prefer decorative headgear, hat, helmet?
I'm happy to accept any of these as possible ways to refer to my article of clothing up here. I usually call it my helmet because it's always good to have in the occasion that you are encountering singing monsters, which can be a little over-enthusiastic and maybe bludgeon you a bit as they're coming to greet you. So
sure.
The helmet protects my head, and it also confers a little bit of monster knowledge to me every time that I wear it. I in the chat of our last stream, I believe many were calling for me to put my hat back on.
Yes.
Which I'm hoping is not a commentary on how much hair Monster Handler Matt has lost in the noble pursuit of monster handling.
I think it's the knowledge.
It must be
people
the
want to
knowledge.
know.
Yes.
There. Okay. I don't see a name for this question, but the question is, do monsters such as the Scups, Riedling, Drumpler, and other instrumental monsters have their own voices?
Certain monsters, like the Kongal on Tribal Island, have been known to vocalize when that's not necessarily the main part they contribute to an island song.
True.
So I think it's certainly plausible to believe that several monsters, if not all of them, have a means of communicating vocally if their primary instrument is instrumental. And the great thing about the monster language, monstrous, is that any musical form of expression is interintelligible. So they can vocalize, they can play their drums, or like a reedling, they can use their spines, or a drum player can use the elasticity of its belly with its drumsticks in order to communicate, but it is possible for them to vocalize as well. It's just not something that they always prefer to do. There's numerous ways to express the same message. Let's put it that way.
They are singing monsters, but yeah, everyone has their own preferences, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay. Let's go to the next question. Dogs223 wants to know, Monster Handler Matt, what is your favorite island song? This is going to be a tough choice for you.
I've been asked this one a lot.
And yet you seem very pensive on what your answer is going to be. Does it change?
When I'm listening to a given island song, I tend to fall in love with it. I tend to, my favorite shifts as I'm listening to different island songs. One that always creeps back to the top of the list for me, though, is Ethereal Island. I love the whimsy and the otherworldliness of Ethereal Island. It sounds like a celebration that the ethereal family is being reunited on Ethereal Island, so I think that's one of my favorites. And then I believe if also if we wanted to choose among the various monster locales in Dawn of Fire, I would say that my favorite song from Dawn of Fire is the Space Island song, which for me evokes sort of the final frontier and going boldly where no monster has gone before sort of vibe.
Well, I've always said you're a little out there, so lines right up.
This guy.
Maxley Has Been Taken wants to know, how does Tweedle breathe in Water Island?
The physics of Water Island are certainly unusual because it itself is positioned in the unfathomable depths of the living ocean.
The living ocean.
It doesn't appear that it has a bubble containing all of the monsters in there. It just sort of seems like they're openly submerged under the water.
Mm-hmm.
What we have to recall about the monster world is that there's a fair bit of magic and unknown science at play here. So even those monsters that don't have water as one of their constituent elements are still able to survive there. How is the question? I think it's possible that the lungs of a singing monster don't resemble ours, and that perhaps they don't process oxygen. Perhaps they process some other element, and I don't mean like earth or plant or cold. I mean one of the building blocks of the monster world universe. Perhaps there's a different way for them to breathe entirely, because it's a great question. As one of the only islands that is situated in a aquatic environment, how does that work? We're still not entirely sure. We've mostly gone with the flow so far as Water Island is concerned, but it's my belief that there's something unique about you heard me mention before that the water of the living ocean has unique properties. Perhaps this is one of those properties that allows singing monsters specifically to thrive underwater, whereas they would normally need air to breathe.
It's a fascinating theory on your part, and I'd say it's a good thing that you're coming up with it now, in the current day, with our current monster knowledge, as opposed to when Dr. Spurd was around, because if you were talking like that back then, they might think you were off the deep end.
Oh, jeez.
Abed Shark 100 wants to know, could there perhaps be an undiscovered area in Dawn of Fire where Kongal spoke, as he did on Tribal?
An undiscovered area in Dawn of Fire. So the world of Dawn of Fire is perhaps less known to us than the current era is. Obviously, we can't go back in time.
Yes, lost in time.
Everything that we know, we're sort of picking up through bits and pieces of the historical record. And as a result of that, the fact that the continent sits in an infinite expanse and that the outer islands seem to be doing their own thing for the most part, the world of Dawn of Fire remains largely unexplored. So I assume that there are a multitude of regions that are unknown to us in Dawn of Fire. Who knows if we'll ever have the manpower or monster power to be able to get there. But I think because the Kongal has been shown to be able to vocalize, it's possible there's some place where it is able to do so. The other thing to consider as well is that when monsters aren't performing their island song, which is their favorite thing to do, it's their pastime, it's their raison d'etre, their you know, the thing that gets them up in the morning, that they can also just sort of hang out and relax, chat and talk and just do as we're doing now. Just sharing a lovely afternoon with our community.
Awesome. I don't see a name on this one, but the question is, which is relevant to what you were just saying, do the Outer Islands still exist during the time of My Singing Monsters?
The Outer Islands are strange. So let's count them off together. We have Party Island.
Yep.
We've got Space Island.
Yep.
We've got Cloud Island.
Yep.
And we've got Cave Island.
That's right.
So these 4 outer islands are only accessible via the teleporter. So the nature of that structure is still sort of mysterious to us, whether or not it's moving you through purely space or if there are actually there's a dimensional quality to the teleporter. If so, it would be sort of difficult for us to recover access to the Outer Islands if the teleporter is in fact bouncing you to a different dimension. Not to say that it's impossible to do so, but there's certainly no remaining vestige of the Outer Islands at the time of My Singing Monsters. That seems to be something that's unique to the era of Dawn of Fire, that sort of golden age of the monster world. And another thing that I'm just considering now, of course, in the aftermath of our learning about the fate of the continent, is that in that quake, in that major cataclysmic event, it's possible that they were lost. Now, let's hope that the monsters who populated them were resourceful enough to sort of band together and come up with some sort of...
Band together? Was that on purpose?
Yeah, you got it. A band together. You see what I did there? To band together, and who knows, maybe the skyship stepped in and did sort of a little bit of an evacuation there. But it could be that they were completely untouched, unperturbed by the events. Perhaps they were far enough away or existing in different dimensions such that they were not affected. We're still not sure.
Maybe one day we'll get there. The next question comes from My Singing Mammoths. In the loading screens in Dawn of Fire, we see the continent and the outer islands in close distance of each other. Does this mean that the outer islands and the continent exist in a short distance of each other?
Very relevant to the question that we were just posed. So those loading screens that depict various sort of vignettes, different scenes in the monster world, historically have shown imagery of Party Island, which seems to be just sort of off the coast of the continent. That could be a mirage, though. We're not entirely sure. Or it could be a wormhole had opened at the time of that imagery when it was first snapped.
These crazy physics makes it very difficult.
Yes, you could not believe how many possibilities we have to factor in when we're trying to sort of gauge the exact distance between these different islands. I think that possibly a little bit of artistic license is taken with those loading screens, but I think a more likely possibility is that the outer islands are actually shifting in position themselves, perhaps almost in some sort of orbital relationship with the continent. We know that the continent is sort of the center of the monster world in the era of Dawn of Fire, and perhaps relevant, and I don't know if this has ever been mentioned before, but one of the working titles for the Outer Islands, before Outer Islands the name was considered, was Satellite Islands.
Satellite Islands.
And we know that the very nature of a satellite is to orbit a center point. So, perhaps, as depicted by these loading screens, and perhaps that's why they're so hard to pin down and try and figure out what their current location is that they're constantly on the move. There's that possibility as well. We know, for example, that Party Island itself is perched on the back of some large leviathan, the identity and species of which we've never bothered to look up because that would be far too dangerous.
That's
big.
That's a tall order.
That's a big animal, and I'm getting sort of stressed out just thinking about it.
Okay, we'll move on to another question. Wither of Earth would like to know, how tall is Candelabra in feet?
In feet?
Yes.
So, Candelabra we know in two forms. The young version that exists on the continent, and the one that appears on the outer islands. When a Candelabra is full grown, it is quite a statuesque sight, may I say. As a quint element monster, these monsters typically tend to be larger than those monsters that have fewer elements. Not always the case, though. The Yelmet is a notable example of a quad element monster that's quite compact, quite small in size. But the Candelabra, I know why this question is being asked. I know that there was some excitement during an earlier stream when I revealed that the approximate size of a Tweedle was that of an ostrich, which is quite big.
Crazy.
But an important thing to remember is that the scale of a human on the natural islands is sort of unclear. So in terms of how tall a Candelabra is in feet, I'd say we're talking about your upper end of professional basketball players.
Ooh.
Quite tall, quite statuesque. But again, as I mentioned in a previous stream, there is a natural range that all monsters sort of fall into. They aren't always that consistent size, and it depends on what level they're at, if they've been bigified or not. There's all sorts of factors that can influence the size of a monster, but make no mistake that the Candelabra at full size, in full adulthood, is quite up there, quite tall.
Well, with that kind of stature, I imagine a very bright future.
I can't believe this stuff. Are you following along with this stuff, my Singing Monsters community? Eric is just shooting out the puns here.
D Warrior wants to know, does Galvana have two legs wrapped and closed together inside that thing at the bottom? Or one big leg with 4 toes? Or does it even have legs? Covered all the possibilities.
I have a short answer for this one.
Let's hear it.
We've never checked.
Oh.
We thought it would be rude to do so.
That's a very good point.
Yes, we thought that would be improper.
Sure. Leave that
We don't know.
alone for now.
We don't know.
Stumped.
Is that a stumped, or
no,
is that a being polite?
Saying.
All right, fine.
Polite. Mr. Zamboni, very Canadian name.
Yes, it
would
is.
like to know, when does the studio make the decision to make a new island or new monsters, and how long does it take for ideas to be accepted? A very good behind-the-scenes question.
For sure. When inspiration strikes, and sometimes that can come at different times during our creative cycle.
Sure.
Here at Big Blue Bubble is when we decide to embark upon a new project. Every single island that we make is a massive undertaking, not only from an artistic standpoint, but from a technical standpoint.
Of course.
The devoted teams here at Big Blue Bubble spent countless hours tirelessly testing to make sure that every possible combination of monsters still achieves the song that we would like the island to play. That there are multiple animations for each monster to undergo and to be tweaked and to be finalized. Look and feel, if there are new monsters involved, is also a huge undertaking. And of course, designing the environment of the island itself is also quite a lengthy process. So all told, I would say it takes probably about at least a third of a year to work on an island, because there are so many different moving parts that we want to make sure that we get just right. And oftentimes, well, I don't want to say oftentimes, but sometimes part of that hard work comes after the fact, as we continue to tweak and make improvements that the community is able to let us know if something's not behaving the way that it's supposed to, or if an animation snaps or just doesn't play. It's always helpful for you to send that feedback to us, because we're trying to craft as seamless an experience as possible, and it's thanks to you that we're able to continually refine the game and get it to the point where we're proud to share it with the world.
That's right. That actually brings up an interesting note I meant to bring up a little earlier.
Okay.
And I forgot. One of the things that we got from the survey, some of the feedback we got, was they'd love us to show people's islands on the stream. And I'd like to address that and say, we're looking into it. We think it can be done. We think we have the technology. we are researching it. So I just wanted to let everyone know it's something we're looking into for future Monsterpiece Spotlights. And the reason that came to my brain is because I was going to say some of our community probably has a pretty good idea how complicated it is to make an island, because several fans will make their own island, including new monsters and new musical pieces, and they probably have a pretty good appreciation of just how much detail goes into making sure all those pieces
And there are
go
huge
together.
backstories that they write as well, making sure that they fit comfortably inside the sort of look and feel of the world of My Singing Monsters. So it's a huge undertaking, and it's not to be taken lightly.
Not at all. But if you do make a new island, we'd love to see it with the hashtag MyStreamingMonsters, so that if we can get the technology all in order, then we can show it on the stream.
That's right, that would be lovely.
Okay, back to the questions. We have got Stack of Wublins asking, how long was Dawn of Fire in development for? Now, this is before my time, so to speak. Not a Dawn of Fire pun. Just wasn't with Big Blue Bubble at the time. So maybe you can shed some light on this.
Dawn of Fire was, I believe, about 1.5 years of development. It was sort of an idea that we had not soon after My Singing Monsters was released, because as developers we're always, when we build a game, sort of constrained by certain limitations. Like when My Singing Monsters first came out, there were device limitations that are no longer imposed, and that were influential in the creative decision making of the design of the game itself. So Dawn of Fire was for us an attempt to sort of address some of those design decisions, and to change them up, and to craft a different experience. Craft a different experience for the players while still preserving the personality and the flavor, the spirit of My Singing Monsters. So it took a long time, and obviously we knew right from the get-go that we wanted to add another natural element into the mix.
Yeah.
The conspicuously absent fire from My Singing Monsters. So we knew that that was opening up a huge part of the monster family tree that we hadn't explored yet, but we were excited to tackle that side of the tree, and it's a undertaking that we're still doing today, continuing to discover fire hybrids.
I think it's also important to note that when it comes to development and estimating time periods, the interesting thing that I've learned since being here at Big Blue Bubble and part of the My Singing Monsters world, I mean really as well as any development process though, is that so many ideas start well before you kind of start developing.
That's right.
Like, I'm sure several ideas during the creation of My Singing Monsters, they said maybe not right now, and they kind of floated around, and maybe not even consciously, but I'm sure they came back, they said, wouldn't this be cool to add in now, you know, and ideas, they evolve and they change over time. So it can be very hard to say. You can say we officially started development at this date, but maybe, you know, some of those features, someone was kicking them around half a year earlier.
And that's sort of the nature of creativity, right? These ideas come to you perhaps when you least expect them, and they can be ideas that are just swimming around in your head, and when you finally go to put them down, perhaps they look a little differently than even you pictured them.
That's exactly right, but that's what makes it so fun.
Isn't that right?
Okay, let's jump into another question. Beanie Body wants to know, can globes grow more than one bulb?
More than one bulb.
That's right.
The physiology of globes is one of the enduring mysteries, because, and for those of the community who have read the bio of globes, they know that they don't actually hail from the dimension that the monster world calls home. They're actually from a neighboring dimension, a soundless dimension, and so we're not even entirely sure if that's how globes look in their home dimension, or if it's just part of their travel to the monster world sort of contained them inside this shape, perhaps because they are luminous beings that glow and that emit light, that perhaps in their home dimension they are sort of unfettered by a physical sort of structure, and that perhaps they just bounce around like photons. We're not entirely sure. I'd certainly be curious to know what the community thinks, what the home dimension of the globes look like. If you have any ideas and want to put that into a work of art that you'd like to submit to us, please do so with hashtag MyStreamingMonsters. It's at some place that we've never been. this home dimension of the globes.
That'd be very exciting to see.
It would be, and as you know, globes were recently granted honorary singing monster status,
That's
despite
right.
the fact that they don't sing. But there's still a lot of mystery to the globes, and so in terms of their physical form as they appear in the monster world, it's just that. One globe that appears on the top of their, if you want to call it head, it's sort of their whole body, looks like a bulb, and then they've got sort of like small outcroppings of stuff around their wrists that look like they're sort of small globes, but so far as we know, it's just that one big main bulb on your run-of-the-mill globe.
I'm getting another message. It's much less exciting than the last one. It's
Okay.
like it made a lower energy. Thank you. I'm getting a message from Monster Handler Mike. He wants to ask you, could there be other dimensions out there?
I think that this is possibly a perfect segue into our next segment, where we take a deeper dive into the geography of the monster world.
Now, would you like to explain sort of what inspired this segment?
Sure. We received a piece of fan art last week, I believe it was, after we discussed which monsters belonged in which dimension. I don't think that's the one. If that's the one that we're
No. I think it's being queued up right now.
Oh, okay. Not that one either. So this work of art, based on the details that had been supplied in the live stream, sort of imagined what the monster world looked like if it was situated on a globe. And
right.
So, and that's not globe, Glowbe, that's Globe, a sphere.
That's right.
And so there it is.
So we'll pull that up for you guys at home.
And so situated on this map are the natural islands, and also Wublin Island, and we have various other islands of the monster world depicted here as sort of self-contained universes. Now, this is certainly accurate based on the original writings of Dr. Warden Spurrett, who, during his observations of the monster world, was able to record definitive proof of 5 natural islands. But because Dr. Warden Spurrett doesn't mention any other islands at that time, it's believed that many of the islands that are known to us now had not yet come into existence, or at the very least, he hadn't discovered them. So, sort of spurred on by the teachings of Dr. Spurrett, I did a more in-depth analysis of the geography of the monster world, and I discovered a couple of interesting things that I'd like to share here on the stream, if that's okay with you.
I know I'd love to hear it. I think I speak for the community when I say they'd love to hear it.
All right, here we go. So, as previously mentioned, the monster world is made up of several different pocket dimensions, but that several islands exist in one reality at a time. So, we know that the islands of Plant Island, Cold Island, Air Island, Water Island, and Earth Island, known collectively, of course, as the natural islands,
that's right,
exist in one reality, but that they are accompanied by 3 other islands in that same reality.
Sure.
And these islands are Wublin Island,
yep,
as we know, Celestial Island,
which is fairly recent.
That's right, and Tribal Island. So these 8 islands form what we call the prime reality of My Singing Monsters, the sort of main dimension that most of the events of the monster world take place. This is how, of course, many of the monsters were able to witness the descent of Starhenge through the monster world sky and have it crash in the world and become Celestial Island.
That's
so
right.
That's how they were able to do that. Notably, the rare Rebro was witnessing that through its special telescope that allows interdimensional viewership, and that leads me into the next section of the monster world, which is islands that have their own dimension. So, Ethereal Island is unto itself, which is why those monsters that achieve level 15, those single element ethereal monsters on the natural islands, are teleported to Ethereal Island because it is existing sort of attached to the prime reality as a pocket dimension.
Oh.
And it's unclear at this time whether the teleportation that's involved with ethereal monsters is related at all to the technology of the teleporter from Dawn of Fire,
Right.
or whether or not these are the same word that are actually describing two different processes. But notably, Ethereal Island is doing its own thing. Now, Gold Island is also doing its own thing. It exists on it's hard to sort of articulate what it is. It's like a different plane of existence. It's almost like Nirvana. It is a glorious place, free of conflict, and that sort of represents the reunification of the monster world and a place of pure harmony where so many different monster species can live together. It's sort of like an escapist realm for those monsters, perhaps who are still thinking about the peace and joy that they enjoyed on the continent and are striving for something similar in the current era.
And why wouldn't they?
That's right, because Gold Island has such a triumphant and celebratory song. That's a good thing. Two other islands that are very interesting to me specifically as a human are Sugarbush Island and Composer Island.
That's right.
Because both of these islands are inspired by or byproducts of contact with the human world.
That's right.
And they exist in an area of the monster world, sort of abstractly, that I refer to as the seam.
Yes, I
The
believe that's...
seam that appears between the monster world and the human world. They exist sort of in two places at once, right along that edge that defines the two different worlds, the human world and the monster world. And I'm trying to think, I believe that I've covered all of the 12 islands of My Singing Monsters. So that's sort of the lay of the land of the world of My Singing Monsters as we know. So that there are 8 islands existing in the prime reality. Ethereal and Gold are in their own sort of compartments, if you will. And the Sugarbush and Composer exist on the seam between the monster world and the human world.
What a lesson. I gotta say.
There you go.
A lot of that was information to me, as I'm sure it was to the community. And wow, I have to applaud your studying and your researching, because that's some incredible detail you got there.
It's what I do. You know, it was kickstarted by the work of Dr. Spirit, but a lot of that is based on observations that I've made in the time since. It's sort of the modern take on monster handling.
I'd also like to say thank you to the fan who brought in that art. I believe it was, I want to say Hazelnut Volcano?
It was Hazelnut Volcano.
Okay, my memory's
Very
a little
good.
better than I thought. So thank you to Hazelnut Volcano. It was an excellent approximation.
And we'd love to see a new iteration now that you've been supplied with this updated information. It was certainly completely accurate based on the information that had been released up until that point. And now that we've gone a little bit more in depth into the geography of the monster world, we'd love to see a version 2.0.
Speaking of fan art, it seems like a good time to look at some more fan art. So how about we queue up some monster pieces in the Monsterpiece Spotlight?
Would love to see those.
And our first one coming up, oh, look at that. It's a drawing of Dr. Warden E. Spurritt.
So, very interesting, this drawing of Dr. Warden E. Spurritt, because it bears a striking resemblance to the Spurritt statue.
Yes, I noticed that.
Which, its name, that can't be a coincidence.
There's no way.
There's got to be something going on there, but we do know that Dr. Warden E. Spurritt is a human, don't we?
I mean, we have to think. He certainly spoke English in the audio recording.
Right, but we've also seen a few documented instances of monsters who have learned at least some phrases in English. There's certainly a lot of creativity that went into this entry, and I wonder if it is causing me to sort of revise my own whole understanding of Dr. Spurritt in the first place.
That's a very valid point. But can you imagine a monster who would come into our world, maybe even pose as a human? You think they
Masquerade.
You think they could get away with something like that? I can't imagine a single monster who could try to pull off such a hilarious heist and get away with that.
That's true. There's Bill.
I mean, Bill's a great guy, but I don't know. I think he'd spot a monster disguised as a human right away.
That's true, and Bill's one of us. right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, there's
that's
nothing
what I
weird.
mean.
There's nothing weird going on with Bill, right?
No, that's exactly what I mean. I can't imagine how a monster would pull off something like that when you got guys like Bill in the office who would notice it right away. Speaking of Bill, right on the screen, we have our friend Bill.
Oh no, dumping coffee on our router.
I believe this is a reference to earlier in the week technical issues we had. Fortunately, we were able to solve them, and thank you so much for everyone who stuck around during that. We're glad we were able to come back and still to deliver a fun show.
Sort of an apathetic expression on Bill there.
I don't know.
He doesn't seem too upset about the sabotage.
Maybe, yeah, maybe a little bit of
There is
a
statement of oops in there and coffee, just so that we know exactly what substance is being poured on the router.
I like my cups labeled.
Well, that is good. Do you have a separate cup for every kind of different drink you have?
Yeah, that's right. I don't drink a lot of liquids.
Oh, well.
I have very select.
Oh, that's true. You're not really one for the life-giving water of the living ocean.
Yeah, until I find the living ocean, I'm gonna.
There might be right. Okay, so if I could get you to drink some of that water, maybe you'd change your tune.
I'll be the
Get it? Change your tune. Sort of related to My Singing Monsters. All right, let's see what's next.
Oh, wow.
Well, would you look at that? If I'm not mistaken, here are interpretations of Punkleton, Bellowfish, and Tring, which I believe Orthrus 1012 indicated that they had made these using the Skylanders character editor. Yeah, but they look remarkably accurate.
Very well done.
They've done a great job. I particularly like the green pants.
Yes.
On Bellowfish.
There's a lot of excellent touches on this piece.
Sort of a fierce expression, and the attention to detail on Punkleton as well is great. Yes. Even the leaves that appear down the arms of that seasonal monster, and the crystalline details of the outcropping on Tring's back. Great.
Excellent creativity.
The nose there, just like Tring's own triangle.
Yeah.
Great job.
On to the next one.
Well, would you look at that. A serene day on the continent during the era of Dawn of Fire. We have here Flummox, Wink, and Ziggurat just doing their thing.
Just hanging out, having a great time. It's adorable. I'll say it. It's adorable.
The great thing about Monsters is that it doesn't matter how many elements you have. It doesn't matter which of those elements you have. There's an awful lot of cooperation. There's an awful lot of harmony that's very easy to be achieved in the world of My Singing Monsters because their sort of default state is harmony. They just want to sing together. There's not a whole lot of conflict that appears between monsters. Sometimes there are disagreements, but I think as you can see from this great piece of art by Prince Aik Total. Am I doing that correctly? Prince Aik Total? Prince Aik Total.
Sure.
That's what we'll say. It represents the best that monsters have to offer. Look at those smiling expressions, and Wink is sort of, I think, the star of this particular production.
Speaking of the best people have to offer, our man in the helmet.
That's
Monster
me.
Handler Matt right
Stack
there.
person guy, and even wearing the same hoodie as I'm wearing for today's stream.
That's perfect. And it says, "I'm very good at flossing."
Well, let me know if you agree with that statement. I know that. I don't know. Were people critical of my flossing, or did they like it?
I think they loved it.
Was it maybe I'll do it quickly at the end of this stream as well.
All right, if we have room, you might.
We'll have a 2.0. I might need you to stand back.
Oh, I definitely would.
Oh, here's
another portrait of Dr. Warden E. Spurd, I believe.
Definitely capturing the Doctor's very shy disposition. It's sort of blocking. He's sort of blocking his face there. Is that a clipboard that he's holding up? I'm not sure.
That's
perhaps going, like. Oh, wait, listen. And we also have, I don't know, I hesitate to say it because it looks sort of morbid, but I'm not sure how that fir corn's doing back there on the shelf. Hopefully that's just a stuffed fir corn, like the plush that we've previously been able to offer in our shop. But there's a little bit more going on there. But also wearing the characteristic Monster Handler helmet.
Well, speaking of the helmet.
As is this great work of art by Alyssa Dickles. We had previously asked what we thought the rest of the Monster Handler monster looks like.
That's right.
And I think this is an awfully cute depiction.
Again, adorable. It's not a word I throw around often, but the community knows how to.
It sort of reminds me of Sully.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yes.
And then with
sort of crossed with Mike.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. With the one eye, you've kind of got a crossover.
And my leafy ascot, of course.
Yes.
Which I should bring that back. You know.
Yeah.
That's sort of the Monster Handler formal wear, if you will. But I should bring that back. Oh, a great, very faithful depiction of the epic maw set against the night sky. Now I don't know about you, but hearing a maw's call in the middle of the night. Might keep me up.
Yes.
That might be something sort of like a car alarm that I'd sort of tap the maw gently and go, "Excuse me, sir, or whatever it is that you are, please desist."
I gotta ask. After your encounter with Epic Maw, are you telling me you would still walk up and tap one? Because I feel like you'd be asking somebody else, like, "Sir, could you please walk up to that monster and pass along a message for me?"
Well, I mean, like. I think I've done a good job of knowing how to lull them into a state of security.
You've been learning.
Listen, man. No one wants to experience what I did. That was a harrowing experience. But all is well now.
Speaking of harrowing experiences, we have an excellent fan-made monster here.
That truly captures what it means to be monstrous. A true monstrosity. All right, cue it up there, Michael.
It's up. What would you like to try to pronounce this name before?
All right, I'm going to go for it.
Yes,
I think we are told that this creation is the epic Tweetnog Corn Palm.
Tweetnog Corn Palm.
Tweetnog Corn Palm. It's that's truly something. Look there, all the different assets have been sort of combined into this one truly epic creation. I think that there's really something special that they did there. So great job.
A perfect example of an epic for sure.
Oh, we've got some. Is that Bill? Is that you back there, or Furcorn messing around with the cables? I'm not sure.
You know what I think that sound means?
What?
We're gonna do some more Q&A.
I'm always ready for more questions.
Now I think
and to deliver the answers that you want to hear.
I think what we'll do to mix it up a bit is we'll jump right into trivia questions.
Oh no!
That's
all
right,
I'm
Monster
ready.
Handler Matt.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm gonna slouch because then I'll appear cool.
You need to be nonchalant when you get stumped.
Oh man! All right. Lay him on me.
Abed Shark 100's question is, what version of the game did the Monster Handlers first discover Ethereal Island?
Now, this was very closely aligned with the game's first anniversary. The game was 1 year old at that time, so I can tell you that much. I know that it was September 2013.
Remember, we're not asking for a date, we're asking for a version.
Yes, I'm thinking about that.
Okay.
Is that version 1.2?
Give me one last digit.
1.2.0?
He got it. I can't believe it.
Yes! Yes! All right, I'm going to move out of a slouching position because now I feel bolstered by the confidence of the correct answer.
That's a cause. I can't believe you got that one. Okay.
Well, that was a major update for My Singing Monsters. The discovery at that time of a seventh island. There had only been 6 up until that point, the naturals and gold. So having ethereal in the mix was really a game changer, if you will.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
Let's hit the next one. I'm going to do my best on this name. I'm going to say, LOL, Bit-A-Gamer wants to ask you, what monster was released alongside Clamble in Dawn of Fire? Oh, this looks like it's really turning the gears in your head.
Is it Tring?
Oh, I'm so sorry. The answer was Krillby. So you are stumped.
Oh, wait. Alongside Clamble. Oh, I was thinking Shrub.
Oh!
I was thinking Shrub.
I definitely didn't misspeak. That's not on me.
You said,
you are very much
You said
stumped.
Clamble. I got stumped.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, we've got...
I'm back to slouching.
We've got
my posture changes.
We've got 3 more for you to try and
redeem myself. Maybe if I get 3 out of 5, I'll get I can have my Monster Handler license renewed.
The Monster Explorers asks, what is mulch also known as?
I
I love that expression. That's my favorite when we ask him a question and we get that one.
and I'm thinking, oh, I remember because this was the nickname that was used.
Don't mind me, I'm just getting ready for my Stumped.
I'm pretty sure it starts with Claude. It's sort of like Clodhopper, but it is the other nickname for mulch is the. Oh, I've got the first part of it. I just need the most important part, the second half. It is a Clod. Claude Potter?
Oh,
How did I do? What is it?
It was the Claude Yopper, which is in the bio.
From the bio.
Which you didn't remember, and therefore you are stumped.
Stumped. I got the Claude part.
You were.
Did I get a half point for that one, or just that's a straight out stump?
I think.
Did the text appear across the screen?
Oh, it definitely. And there it is again.
That is a definitive stump. You can never come back from that.
You can't take that graphic back.
Okay.
Okay. Next one. See if
Claude
you can.
Yopper.
See if you can make.
See, I'll never get these wrong again. Once I'm asked these questions, they stick in my craw.
Well, in that case, what is mulch also known as now? Okay. So the question is from Strimes the Tweed 49. Globes are in their own class. What is it?
Spectral.
Unfortunately, I don't see an answer on that one, so I'm going to have to take your word for it.
It is. I know it definitively.
We will get confirmation.
You can't stump me with that one.
Sydney, just to be sure. But
it is spectral.
We'll sit on that one. Just in case. But
that one.
You seem so confident.
That's one of those things where the judges have gone off and they're in a separate room deliberating, going, "Well, wait a minute." It's like on Jeopardy when they announce that someone got points after the fact or points taken away. Hopefully that doesn't happen this time.
Oh, yep. Sydney has answered. That is correct. You were right.
Woohoo!
We don't seem to have a graphic for correct. We weren't prepared to get any of them right, so we
never thought he'd get any of them.
That's a vote. What a vote of confidence in poor Monster Handler Matt.
To your credit, the last time we did this, I managed to get a small graphic in.
That's true.
You got one.
All right. So,
okay.
Give me some more.
Okay. The next trivia question is from Logan Peters 756, and it is: what does the exhaust that the rare Kazillion emits smells like? That wry smile that
There's
says,
fumes.
I should know this.
You've told me this before.
Have I?
Yes.
And I've forgotten it? You know what? I work hard during the week. And
I didn't know this was the excuses
I
segment.
realize now that I'm going to have to do some readings before each of these episodes, so I stop getting stumped so often.
You're not used to having to do homework ever since you graduated from
yeah, when you
University
get to be an adult, you think that homework stops, but it just goes to show you never stop learning, everybody, or retaining information that you once had. All right.
That's right.
For some reason, I feel like jujubes are involved, but I don't think that's correct. I think I'm thinking of something else entirely. So, I think that the exhaust of a Kazillion or a rare Kazillion?
Rare Kazillion, specifically.
A rare Kazillion. I think that it smells very pleasant. Will you accept that answer?
No, we're looking for a very specific scent.
I have nothing.
Okay. Well, what would you say if I suggested Moonjube upside down cake?
Oh, I got the jube
That's
part
right.
Moonjube upside down cake.
You know what part
which is a delicacy, may I just say, a credit to the chefs. Chefs? I put a T at the end of chef.
I will say
the chefs of the
there is
monster world.
Nothing sweeter than a finely crafted Stumped.
Oh man. Okay, come on. So I think I'm definitely at least not 3 for 5. I'm like 1 for 5,
I gotta
maybe
say,
2.
Questions are flying in right
Okay,
now.
I'm listening.
We're going on a streak here. Let's see if you can pull out of your downward spiral. Bogart fan wants to know, what version did Deej and Snizer come out in Dawn of Fire?
Oh, please. Give me. Furcorn, give me strength. I think
I can do this one.
the Deej, of course you can do it, Michael. Deej and Snizer came out in version 1.11.0.
I think 1.09.
Well, you're both stumped. In that, it's just 1.10.
I was one off.
You were so close.
I was one off.
Literally a 1.
Stumped.
Big ol' stumped. Okay, maybe this one. One of them eventually. Right?
Yeah. Keep them coming, Eric.
Well, since we're all enjoying this so much, your stumps, and laughing along, it's appropriate. The next question is from Har239.
All right.
What outer island was added last?
Party Island.
You are correct.
Oh.
Okay, you got
They
that
say
one.
You saved the best for last.
What's next?
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling optimistic.
Okay, this one is from Only a Ma. A Ma-related question.
Only a ma.
I can't wait to see if you know this one.
Okay.
What's the ma's species name in Portuguese?
What is the Moz species name
That's what it says here.
in Portuguese? That
What
is
non-Portuguese?
La Bocara. Bocarra.
It has an exclamation mark here, but I'll give it to you.
Yes, the exclamation point is just emphatic.
Yeah, but you didn't include it. But I'll give it to you.
Yay!
There's the exclamation mark.
How many more?
Okay. Lord
I know they're
Galvana
still coming.
wants you to answer, what version of My Singing Monsters was Tribal Island added? A very relevant question, right?
That was version 1.3.5.
Stumped!
What?
1.3.2.
Oh, we need a fact checker on that.
Oh.
We
You're
need a-
going to challenge.
I'm going to challenge.
Okay,
With
well.
Tribal Island being added in My Singing Monsters, I'm going to say that was version 1.3.5.
Well, if Sydney could help us out and do a quick fact check, we will find out.
I'm on to you. Who asked that question?
That was Lord Galvana.
No, all right, Lord Galvana, I'm on to you. Trying to stump me.
We'll see.
Trying to do a switcheroo.
We'll
Stumperoo.
Stumperoo. Okay. Shimmy Show Shammy. Oh, hang on. Oh, okay. Sydney is checking currently, so we'll get back to that in just a minute.
All right.
Shimmy Show Shammy asks, how many ethereals are there, including rares?
30. Pure ethereals. We're not counting super ethereal. We're not counting the
I don't
ethereal
believe
wall
so.
box or yeah.
Not the way I
We're not counting that. Okay.
So you stick with your answer?
I'm gonna say yes because there are 10 single element ethereals, 5 common, 5 rare, and 20 double element hybrids, 10 common, 10 rare. 30.
30. The answer is 30.
Yes!
Got it. And I gotta tell you, man, you won the challenge. It was, in fact, 1.3.5. There is a slight error in the answer for that question, so you were technically correct. We will have to give that one to you.
Don't! How do you like that?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had a turnaround before. A very unique situation. Okay. Ooh, I'm excited for this one.
Okay.
Jaden1847 would like to stump you with this question. When was the PS Vita version of My Singing Monsters created?
Are we looking for a specific release date?
I have to imagine, yes. I have a date as the answer, so.
Ooh. Alright, well, it was early summer 2014. I'll tell you that much.
I have no comment, but please continue.
Alright, I think it was May 2014. May 14th, 2014.
Stumped.
What?
August 12th, 2014.
Really?
I will admit.
Oh, I know
Frustrating
why.
answer.
I know why. I
Oh.
had the distinct privilege that year
Mm-hmm.
to go to E3, which
Ah.
many of you in the chat may know is a huge video game convention that
The
takes
video game
place
convention.
in Los Angeles California each year. And that was when we announced, I believe for the first time, that a version of My Singing Monsters was coming to the PlayStation Vita. So that's my confusion. But I'll accept the Stumped nonetheless.
Yes, it's very understandable that you
I'm,
got stumped.
I'm a gracious Stumpy.
D Warrior would like you to answer, what elements does Snyder not have?
Oh. I don't think the Snyder has... I know it doesn't have plant. I don't think. Snyder is... I know it's fire, of course. I believe air is in the mix. Pretty sure water and cold are too. But then why would they want me to eat earth? I'm gonna say plant and earth.
Plant and earth is correct.
Oh, yes!
It took some working through, but look at
I
that.
had to think about that one.
Yes, that was a great question.
Oh, I like this new graphic. Thank you for creating that, Michael.
Thank you to everyone who has contributed questions, is contributing questions. If you contribute a question in the chat or through social media and you don't hear it in this episode, don't fret. We archive these bad boys. We keep them stored up so that we can surprise you with
torture me further.
That's
at
exactly
a later date.
right. And personally, I love Reef. I love Stumped. It's a thrill.
It's the favorite recreational sport of all the other monster handlers to stump Monster Handler Matt.
And so, special thanks goes out to Naps to Luke for this question. What does Cybop gather for his personal repair?
It's scavenged parts from other monsters. Or at least it tries.
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay. That's 2 in a row. So surely we're going to hit some snags.
All right, let's see if I can do 3 for 3.
Oh.
And then might be time to do a giveaway.
Okay. Yes. We will do this and then we'll jump into the giveaway.
Okay. I'm ready. Let's go out on a good note here. Get it? Good note. Music. All right. Here we go.
Okay. My Singing Mammoths asks, which island is the only one whose song plays in 3/4 time signature? I believe that I'm not a music expert, but I believe 3/4, or is it 3/4?
It's
I don't know if there's one or the other.
3/4.
Okay.
In 3/4 time.
3/4 time
A
signature.
waltz. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, this is a real stumperoo. Sort of by process of elimination. You can see the gears turning in my head.
Your eyes have just lost focus. You're in a different world here. This is a great question.
I'm singing all of them in my head. If you're wondering what I'm doing with my brain right now,
I'm getting ready to sing Stumped.
You know, in 3/4 time, waltz time. I'd be interested to hear the answer that was given. I'm gonna say Cloud Island, but I know that that's not correct.
Ethereal Island is the
Ethereal
answer
Island.
given. Does that add up to you? Thinking about the song now?
I think that it's an acceptable answer because you've got dum da ga da, away away, dum da ga da, away oh. But those could easily also be triplets in a 4/4 bar. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Does it help if you hear it as stump, 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 stump?
All right, I accept it. Stump, stump, stump. All right, I didn't finish on a good note.
Well,
there,
that's okay.
But there will always be other opportunities to send in questions to stump me, Monster Handler Matt, in future episodes of My Singing Monsters Live. Next week, we've got an absolutely bonkers schedule with respect to our live streams that we'll be doing.
Very busy week.
If I'm not mistaken, we're going to be streaming just about every day.
Almost.
Tuesday through Friday. It's going to be a very busy week for us, so... and we know that it's the week of Thanksgiving for those of our American viewers.
That's right.
So we're going to try and be sensitive to those those commitments that you may have. But stay tuned, because there's lots of exciting stuff coming next week. There's with respect to My Singing Monsters Live. So make sure that if you don't do so already, if you're tuning in for the first time, that you follow the Big Blue Bubble TV Twitch channel. And then you'll be notified every time that we go live and that we do something special like this. And as Eric previously mentioned, we collect all of the materials that you send us, whether they be questions for me to answer, whether they be trivia questions for me to get stumped with all of your original artwork, all of your ideas, everything. We love seeing and hearing everything that you have to say in response to the stuff that we tell you. So make sure to keep them coming, and to, whenever possible, use hashtag MyStreamingMonsters, so that when the monster handlers are collecting all this information for the next time that we do an episode, that we're able to catch all the great material that you guys are creating.
That's exactly right. And while several of the shows next week are going to be special episodes, our Friday show will be the regularly scheduled episode of My Singing Monsters
That's
Live.
right.
That will be every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That'll be our third episode of My Singing Monsters.
And every episode of My Singing Monsters Live, but not only every episode of that, every stream we do on this channel, there will be a giveaway. And you should
Guaranteed.
always be tuning in, because that's all you have to do to win. Just be viewing. You couldn't be simpler.
Or multiple ones, as was the case with today's
You
episode.
never know when they're gonna pop up.
We had a giveaway right off the beginning to celebrate 500 followers.
That's right.
We had a surprise giveaway that happened right in the middle
Couldn't
of our
believe it.
broadcast today. And here, right now, we're going to be doing our final giveaway of our second episode of My Singing Monsters Live. And I'm happy to announce that the winner of our final giveaway for today is Theme Applebee.
I'm gonna guess
the
it's
Maple
the Maple
Bee.
Bee.
I can't read.
Evidently, they just followed, and they just came up right before you announced.
Well, congratulations.
Wow.
See, you can.
A special thank you to you then, the Maple Bee.
You need only join us, and you can be eligible for the prize.
If you tune in, you can also Maple Bee a winner.
Hey, would you look at that? Well, that's just about all the time we have today for this episode of My Singing Monsters Live. It's been thoroughly enjoyable chatting with you guys about all the exciting developments of the monster world. And as much as I may grumble at the time, I do love being stumped, because then that means that we've got a great community of monster handler apprentices out there for all around the world who are taking such an active interest in My Singing Monsters and the amazing world that we're discovering together. So this is just a pleasure for me each and every week.
Couldn't have a better time. Very excited to see you guys next week. Like we said, regular episode on Friday, special episodes right from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
That's right.
But for now, I guess we'll sign off by saying,
Happy monstering!